Committee to order. We're just experiencing a little bit of feedback. There we go. Let's try this again. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Dartmouth School Committee to order for Monday, September 9th, 2024. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Well, good evening once again, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to Monday night's meeting of the Dartmouth School Committee. I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting is being videotaped for rebroadcast on DCTV as well as our own Dartmouth High media channel, and we always thank Mr. Parati and his students for their dedication to this program. A roll call, please.
Chris Oliver.
Here.
Elizabeth Coughlin.
Here.
Mary Beckwith.
Here.
Kathleen Emerald.
Here.
John Nunes.
Yep.
Looks like everyone is here this evening. Thank you very much. Just a reminder to please silence any cell phones if you have not done so yet. This time we have allotted 10 minutes for anyone wishing to speak on any of tonight's agenda items. If you have anything you'd like to comment on, we ask you to please approach the microphone and keep your comments brief, no more than 3 minutes. Going once, going twice. Moving on from public comment. Thank you, everyone. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Saba McGuire for some exciting information.
Yes, we are happy to welcome our new teachers to the Dartmouth Public Schools. I'm sure they are super excited to once again be highlighted publicly. We did ask them to stand during our convocation, and I have to say, in having conversation with them and knowing what it was like back in the day, can you believe I actually remember that first day I had to stand up in an auditorium as a new teacher and have all eyes on me. But I want to say that I hope that they recognize that they're joining colleagues across this school district who have had amazing careers here in the Dartmouth Public Schools, and that we're so excited to welcome them to the Dartmouth school community as new educators. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Paveo and Dr. Thibault, who are going to talk to you about Project Time. They're going to give you an overview, and our new educators will be introduced. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. Ready to roll?
Ready to
All
roll.
right, here we go. So Project Time is actually an acronym. Time stands for Teacher Induction and Mentoring Experience. And so it is a program that's designed to support our educators as they transition to Dartmouth Public Schools. We are obviously aware that some of our educators are not new to the profession, but new to the district. And so that induction piece is really about acclimating our new staff to the district, the kind of ways of doing things that we do them here. And for our new teachers, so any teacher who does not have a professional license, there is a requirement to do an additional 50 hours of mentoring in year 2. So induction and mentoring is a requirement by the state of Massachusetts, along with licensing. When you renew your license to go from initial to professional, there's a requirement that you have done an induction and a mentoring program. But beyond the requirement, it really is one of my favorite things that we do. It's a great way to introduce our staff, to make sure that we are welcoming them and to set them up for success. And Dr. Thibault is going to talk a little bit more about why it's so important.
So Project Time is extremely important as a support for our new educators who are transitioning to Dartmouth. You know, we certainly strive to recruit the very best educators we can, but recruitment is not enough, right? We want to retain our educator force. And so Dartmouth Public Schools has had success retaining educators, and a major part of that is because of the project time and because of all the mentors who support our new educators when they come to the district, and we're going to thank them by name a little bit later on. But again, I just want to highlight that, you know, our most recent retention rate is 92.2%. Last year was 92.4%. So it's right around that 92, 93%, which is pretty high. And so, especially given the way that the profession has changed over the last 15 to 20 years, where educators don't always come and stay in one district. There is a lot of movement from district to district. So, you know, can't highlight that retention rate enough and thank our mentors enough, because really they're the cornerstone of making sure our new educators stay with us for a while. And we saw that at the new convocation. Dr. Saber-McGuire asked all the educators with 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years to stand, and it was amazing how many have been here for 20 to 25 years already. So it speaks to that for sure.
So just a little bit about the logistics about how Project Time runs. As Dr. Tebow said, we have experienced and trained mentors, so there are requirements to be a mentor in the district. You have to have been a teacher in the district for 5 years, you have to hold a professional license, and we do a training with our mentors around what makes an effective mentor. We pair them as much as we can with a job-alike person who's in their building, and so both of those things are important, right? Someone who knows the job you're doing, but also someone who knows your space and can tell you where the copiers are and where the bathrooms are, and right? All of those things that kind of going to a new space and feeling like you belong. We do a lot of work with our students around creating a sense of belonging. We do just as much work with our staff on making sure that Dartmouth is a place where they feel like they are welcomed and they feel like they can be successful. And then in addition to that, we have a monthly Project Time meeting with Dr. Tebow and myself, and we do all kinds of introductions, again, to sort of Dartmouth things, to global things. We review teacher evaluation, we review reimbursement, we do some really just general good practitioner pieces. And really, we have a small group this year, but we're trying to tailor it to their needs. We shifted our practice a little bit where we have Dr. Tebow meets with just the secondary folks, we meet with the whole group together, and then I meet with the elementary folks, and we really try to tailor it and make sure that you know, we're using their time effectively as well.
As Mrs. Paveo referenced already, the role of mentor is really just that. It's to serve as kind of a sounding board, someone who our new educators can go to. You know, we're very fortunate in Dartmouth to recruit educators who have experience in other districts. So the role of mentor is more about how do we do it here in our district, and who do I, you know, putting the new educators in touch with the right people. And again, I can't stress enough how thankful we are to our mentors, because they really serve as the confidant and first line of support to our new educators.
So we rolled through that quickly because we are not what tonight is really about. And so I would like to invite our mentors and our mentees up as we introduce you to our school committee and to our community at large. And I'm going to start with my elementary folks. So I know elementary folks are good at a good line. So if my elementary folks want to file up here, I'm going to start by introducing you to Miss Logan Genero. And this is where they get to just stand and listen to me talk about them. So Logan earned her bachelor's degree from Bridgewater State University and her master's from Emerson College. She is entering her third year providing speech services with experience in both private and educational settings. In her first year as a speech language pathologist at the Cushman School. One of the things that we asked all of our new educators is, why Dartmouth? And so Logan said, I wanted to join a community of related service providers that is truly collaborative and cares about the students that they provide services to. Dartmouth Public Schools fosters a unique and supportive community. We welcome Logan, and Logan's mentor is Mrs. Marianne Sorensen, a speech language pathologist at the Quinn School. We'd also like to welcome Mrs. Linda Hamilton. Mrs. Linda Hamilton is something that I think you will, has one of the characteristics of our new hires that has become also one of my favorites. She is a Dartmouth graduate who has come back. She earned her bachelor's degree from the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. She's entering her first year as a third grade teacher at the Quinn School, but has various teaching roles in education, including several years as a middle school math and science teacher in New Bedford. Linda's why Dartmouth was, I've lived in Dartmouth my whole life. It is the school system that my own children go to. I've always valued the experiences that I had attending Dartmouth and want to instill some of those experiences into other children in the community. Linda is being mentored by Jessica Collier, a third grade teacher at Quinn School, who unfortunately had another commitment tonight.
So with that, we can get to our secondary folks. The first,
You guys can sit. Thank you.
can't see beyond the TV here. So if the secondary folks could make their way. So our first new educator is Mr. Jeffrey Carrero, and he's a special educator at Dartmouth Middle School, and we're very fortunate to have Jeffrey. Jeff earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. He is a Dartmouth High graduate, which is, again, a common theme amongst many of our new educators. And he's entering his 8th year in education. It'll obviously be his first as a special educator at Dartmouth Middle School. And for why Dartmouth, Jeff's response was to support the community that supported me while I was growing up. And so Mr. Carrero is being mentored by Mrs. Lisa Katz-Turgeon. Sorry about that. Mrs. Sarah Dury is our second new educator at the secondary level. She earned her bachelor's degree, or bachelor's degrees plural, I should say, from the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth in English literature. She also has a bachelor's in humanities and social sciences. She has a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling, which she earned from Assumption University, and a certificate of advanced graduate study in school leadership from American International College. Mrs. Dury's first official day, I think, was today. So we're very fortunate to have her. She's served in a variety of roles in education, including as a social worker, a guidance counselor, an attendance counselor, and most recently as a co-officer. And this will be her first year as a school guidance counselor at Dartmouth Middle School. And for why Dartmouth, Mrs. Dury said, "My own children attend Dartmouth schools and have had an amazing experience. I wanted to be part of the community." So we welcome Mrs. Dury, who's going to be mentored by Mr. Paul LeConte. At Dartmouth High School, we have Mrs. Erica Thibodeau, who is a school guidance counselor here at Dartmouth High School. Mrs. Thibodeau is entering her 20th year in education, having served previously as a world language instructor, world language teacher at Bridgewater Rainham. This will be her first year as a school guidance counselor here at Dartmouth High School, and she comes to us having earned a bachelor's degree from Worcester State College and her master's in her MED from Salem State and Cambridge College. For why Dartmouth, Mrs. Thibodeau said, "When I interviewed in Dartmouth the first time, I was welcomed and I knew I wanted to be part of this district. I am so happy to be here in the One Dartmouth community to support this wonderful group of students." Mrs. Thibodeau is being mentored by Ms. Nicole Heath in the guidance department here at Dartmouth High School. Our next new educator is Ms. Kristen Rose. Ms. Rose is also a Dartmouth High School graduate, and I should just share that 2 of our new educators are also graduates of the Mrs. Paveo Elementary School classroom.
Thank you for sharing that.
Which
I was planning on it.
oh, so
It's true.
yes. So Ms. Rose earned her bachelor's degree from the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth and has a master's degree in social work from Boston University. She's entering her 5th year in education. She has been a school social worker, school adjustment counselor for the past 4 years at in the Fall River Public School System. For why Dartmouth, Ms. Rose said, "I am a 2012 graduate of Dartmouth High School. I enjoyed my experience in Dartmouth Public Schools and wanted to give back to the community I came from." And so we welcome Ms. Rose back to the Dartmouth community, and she's going to be mentored. She's in great hands with Mrs. Kathy Thomas, one of our social workers here at Dartmouth High School. Mr. Thomas Mayall is also a Dartmouth High School graduate. Tom actually joined us a little bit around the halfway point last year, and so this is the first opportunity for us to introduce him. But Tom earned his bachelor's degree in business management from Bentley University. He's entering his second year as a computer science and business teacher here at Dartmouth High School. And for Why Dartmouth, he said, an alumni who spent the first 18 years of my life in Dartmouth, and you only get one hometown. So we are happy to welcome Mr. Mayall back to Dartmouth. He is being mentored by Ms. Jamie O'Neill, who unfortunately is a little under the weather and could not make it this evening. And finally, and certainly not least by any means, we just want to thank the mentors again. It is a commitment on from the mentors to really invest their time, energy, and support our newest educators. And without them, we wouldn't be in the position or be the strong district that we are. So we want to thank Mrs. Jessica Collier, Mrs. Marianne Sorensen, Ms. Jamie O'Neill, Ms. Nicole Heath, Mrs. Kathy Thomas, Mr. Paul LeConte, and Mrs. Lisa Katz-Turgeon, just once again for all your efforts in supporting our newest educators. So thank you.
Turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Tebow and Mrs. Paveo, and thank you to all of our mentors and mentees for taking the time this evening to come out and be introduced to the Dartmouth community. It's always great to hear about those Dartmouth alumni coming back, and as well as all the new folks that want to make Dartmouth their home. So I'll turn it over there. Any of my colleagues have any thoughts or comments?
I just echo your sentiments and add some parents and also / holding the two roles. I know you're not, I see you back there. Really excited because it just seems to me, I presume, sort of an extra layer of just increased engagement and just wonderful to hear all the reasons why you chose to be, your why to be here. So look forward to a successful year for all of you.
Yeah, congratulations. Welcome aboard. It's always great. It's one of the nights I do enjoy, getting a chance to meet and converse with some of the new teachers and the mentors. And as I kind of always say, lean on your mentors, because they kind of know what's going on. And somewhere down the line, if there's something they haven't come across, they may know somebody that has. So they're here to help. We're all here to help. So welcome aboard and have a fantastic year.
I too want to welcome you all aboard. I'm so glad that all of you are here. I do want to also commend the mentors, because I know it's a time commitment, and I know how critical mentors have been in my professional life. So again, like John said, use your mentors in this first year. And the other thing I would say is that all of us have Dartmouth School email. If you ever have any questions for us, please don't hesitate.
Really, the same thing. Welcome back to the community, those who are coming back, and welcome to the community, those who are new here. And we hope that you find this community as great as we do.
Thank you very much, everyone. Would it be possible, should we bring up the first batch of mentors and mentees, maybe for a photo opportunity?
Yeah.
Oh, and I think that we even have some help to take a photo. If somebody here from Dartmouth Week.
I believe Dartmouth Week is here.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
And I also want to say, don't forget, Mrs. Paveo has a photo from 2004, and one of you may or may not be in it. I did catch a glimpse of it today.
I think maybe we want to come in a little more.
Scooch in, as they say.
Yeah, if you guys could just get like a significant bit closer.
Get friendly.
Working together, you should get to know each other.
Make believe you like each other.
There you go.
That's good.
On the right there, just again a little closer. Thank you. And took a bunch. You guys are good.
Thank you, everyone. And as always, you're all more than welcome to hang out with us and enjoy the rest of
We have a
tonight's
riveting
meeting.
agenda.
Thank you, Mr. LeConte. But feel free to head on out. It's always great.
Always good. Always, always good.
All right, at this time, Chair will entertain a motion for the approval of the regular session minutes
So
of
moved.
August 26th.
Second.
On the motion, I'm sorry,
I made the motion.
Mr. Nunes.
Second. Beth.
Best, okay.
Thank you. On the motion, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. If I could just indulge the committee for just 1 minute, if I could take other matters that may not have been anticipated from the bottom and bring it up. We have some student representatives that Dr. Saba McGuire would like to introduce to us this evening, if that's all right with everyone.
And I'm actually going to invite Mr. Shea up to the podium as well. And our students, thank you so much for being here. I know you all have super busy schedules. So we have 3 of 4 students with us tonight, and I'll have Mr. Shea introduce them. But I just want to say to the students, thank you so much for being willing to step into this role. We know, again, that you have incredibly busy schedules and that this is something that takes time, which I was really excited to hear how you kind of thought it out and thought between the 4 of you, you could figure it out in a way that allowed the school committee to have a student representative here with us. So when you come, you'll have a seat right here at the table with us. So isn't that exciting? You'll be right on camera. So it's something to look forward to. And so with that, I'll ask Mr. Shea to introduce you.
Thank you, everyone. I have the honor to introduce 4 candidates. Actually, one of them is auditioning right now.
Yep.
So that's Aubrey Kutcher. She's not here. She's in the auditorium, I believe, getting ready for Elf the Musical. First week in December. Quick promo. But to here we have Jordan Rosenberg, Elizabeth O'Neill, and Haley Zexter. They are 3 of our 4 that have been elected to represent our schools. They wanted to split it up 4 ways to make sure that we can always have representation. That was something we thought about after last year and the year before, where students had a hard time coming to every single meeting. So we're going to work on a calendar for you all that will describe. They're going to go by season because I'll let them tell you a little bit about themselves in a second, but you'll hear that they're all actively involved in the school community. So we want to make sure that it's fair to everyone, that we have representation here by our student body, but at the same time we can fluctuate who is there, and we'll make sure you have that information as needed.
That's great.
I don't know if you have any questions for the
Do you want to say a couple of things? Did you warn them that they were going to be saying?
I said you might have to tell a little bit about yourself and what
Okay.
you do at Dartmouth High.
Well, I'll go first. I'm Haley. I'm the secretary, student council. I just want to say it's a great opportunity for you guys to be having us. I really appreciate it. We're probably all going to say this, and Mr. Shea said it, we're all very involved. I do multiple sports, and I'm very involved in like extracurriculars, and believe in his school doesn't end at 2:03. But honestly, I just think it's a really great opportunity for us to come up here and also be involved from the student perspective, because we are student council, and we like to sit in, and we've actually listened to these meetings online and watched them, but it's a really big thing to be a part of it as a student too, and have a little bit of a perspective or a say in kind of what goes on, or just pitch to you guys some things that the students are going through. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I am vice president. I want to also think that this is a really great opportunity for having us here. I think this is a good opportunity for us to express like the students' feelings, which they can't go to like say teachers about. This will help bring voice to the students, and yeah.
And I'm Jordan. I also want to say thank you for the opportunity as well. Like Haley said, I'm also very involved with school. I just think it's really special to give back and like work with all of the people, like teachers and students after school hours as well. So I think this will be a really good opportunity to see kind of what goes on behind the scenes and just get to know more of everyone in Dartmouth.
Thank you so much.
Great.
That's great. Thank you to all three of you for coming out this evening, and we look forward to having you on our board with us. I'm a firm believer in student voice, and I would hope, I would just ask, and this goes for the fourth person that's not here, that please, you know, tell us what you think. You know, we understand you have commitments, but we'd love to have you here as long as you can during the meeting. If you have to leave early, we also understand that, but we'd love to hear what you think on a lot of topics that are discussed here. So thank you all. Does anyone have any other comments?
No,
Welcome.
just welcome. So
Yeah.
excited.
Welcome.
Looking forward to it.
And we
seriously.
appreciate you taking the time.
Yes.
They're a great group of students. I'm going to brag about them one more time. We're really lucky to have their voice and, you know, their special crew of students.
That's great. Thank you, Mr. Shea.
Great, thank you.
All
Excellent.
seniors, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Love it.
Take 'em.
Next up, we have a consent agenda item for the Dartmouth High School PTO fundraising request for the 24-25 school year.
I mean, I looked over some of the submissions, and it looks like the PTO at Dartmouth High School have lots of great things planned throughout the year to help support the school and the students, the teachers. And I have to say, it's always a somewhat small group, but it's a mighty group. And they do such wonderful work in raising funding to support really a lot of the extracurricular opportunities that the students here at Dartmouth High School have. So I want to thank them for that, and again recognize, as I say, small but mighty group of people who do so much great work for the community.
I would certainly agree with you, Dr. Saban-McGuire, and thank you for all your work. Any comments or questions on this request?
Just let me know when the restaurant fundraisers are. If I don't have to shop, cook, or clean, I'm golden. You know where to find me. Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Noon, second by Mrs. Amaral. On the motion, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, under old business, preliminary FY26 budget, standing agenda item to update the committee on budget discussions and anything that has transpired since our last meeting.
And so I'm going to turn it right over to Mr. Kiley, but just with the preface that this is an item, as we say, we're calling it old business, but this is really standing business for us in the Dartmouth school community. And Mr. Kiley is, as you know, doing his due diligence to prepare a budget earlier than ever, and not just one, but really two budgets, in order to work with the community to ensure that we have the funding needs of the school met, and that we're all on the same page as we go through this process together. So, Mr. Kiley, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saban-McGuire. So, as we discussed the last meeting, I'll be preparing a draft budget projection for the September 30th Budget Subcommittee meeting. We had some discussion at the last meeting about possible sources of funding. I think given where we are in this budget process, I would suggest that we hold off until we have a draft budget to begin that, take that discussion to the next level of potentially funding a deficit. So, the plan would be at September 30th to have a draft, and it's definitely going to be a draft because there's going to be a lot that we don't know at that point. Pretty hard to project with so many loose ends, but I'll do my best, and it'll be close anyway, as close as we can get. And then that will really sort of set the stage for what has to happen after that. I'll say that the town side of government, I'm encouraged by the discussions that I've had, very preliminary discussions, not really talking about numbers, but talking about the willingness to consider the needs and openness to starting this discussion and trying to solve problems. So been encouraged by that. So. And I've been really focused on getting school open at this point, but I'm going to shift that focus to the budget preparation.
And just,
So,
we
yeah.
did have a subcommittee meeting just a couple weeks ago, and again, I want to thank the finance committee members who have joined us quite a few, at least the last 2 meetings. And so I think that's helpful, and I think that speaks to what Mr. Kiley's saying about having those conversations on an ongoing basis with all departments and all of our standing committees here in Dartmouth.
No, I would certainly agree, and I think the more open communication that we have with the other committees in town will go a long way, because I think there's no easy way around this, and I look forward to continuing the budget discussion at the next meeting. Mrs. Amaral?
Just a tactic that I'm thinking might be helpful as we are, revisiting this each meeting, where we say, we're constantly saying, and you just reiterated on September 30th, this is so early, this will be a draft. And maybe you've done this in the past, I just don't recall. Is there a way to sort of watermark anything that we're putting up with the draft, like the old school and a Word doc? That way, anything that gets screenshot, that there's no going back to say, why did you say $10 when you're saying $15 and that sort of thing, where it could be watermarked until we have that final proposal? That visual cue.
Absolutely, we could do
To
that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
To support the verbal
it.
cue.
It is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Mrs.
welcome.
Amaral. Anyone else?
No, I said my piece at the last meeting, so I'm good right now. But again, it's just a matter of putting it together, seeing what it looks like, and then waiting for everything else to drop into place. It's Mr. Kiley's best guesstimate that he can give us at the moment, and it's all contingent on so many moving parts we're 5 months ahead of doing anything that we normally, not so much last year, but in previous years that we've done.
Right.
So, but, the effort is appreciated.
I just wanted to ask what are the next steps, the initial next steps after September 30th?
Yeah, so I think that there's multiple steps that sort of have to happen at the same time. So certainly the budget subcommittee is an important step, and I think that we'll have a robust conversation about, okay, this is what this looks like. And at that point, then I think we bring it to the school committee for discussion, but we also try and begin the discussion on the town side of the town's operation to figure out, okay, what are we looking at? Our budget has averaged approximately a 3.5% increase for over the last 10 years. So last year we were, told that we had to settle for 3%. That's a big difference in and of itself. So having those discussions and understanding where what flexibility the town may have, I think, is important. So I think we'll, go in those two directions and try and move on from there in terms of, okay, how big is the problem, and then what are the possible solutions? We've talked at length about, well, we solved in some way the FY25 budget with the use of reserves. That is a possibility. That could be a portion of the solution, perhaps, maybe all of the solution for a short time. But, I think that those things, I feel like without an actual budget proposal or a draft, I think it's a little premature.
Okay, thank you.
And I think it's amazing that you, Mr. Kiley, are doing the work to get a budget draft out there so early. I'm wondering, are there other town departments that are also working on early budgets, so we know where they're going and what their needs might be?
It plays a big role. It's a good question because obviously we are, while we're a significant portion of the town's operation, and certainly as it should be, we're not alone, and we have a lot of other departments that have significant needs in town. We had a town department head meeting this morning, at which time there was discussion of moving up their portion of budget preparation. It won't be as fast as what we're doing, but it will be in advance of when they would normally do it. So they're aware, they're prepared to start that conversation on the town side, and hopefully by the time we have some of our preliminary conversations with them based on the drafts, that there'll be some more information from the town departments as to things that are out of the ordinary on their side. So,
Great, thank you.
I guess I'll just add that my hope from the budget subcommittee meeting on the 30th is to come away with some sort of idea as to at least where I want to move towards, and make that pitch at the next school committee meeting. I can't speak for my other colleague that's on the budget subcommittee, but I think after listening to Mr. Kiley's presentation and having some open conversations with some of the members there, that I would hope to at least shed some light at the following school committee meeting on where the school department should be going, from my personal opinion. Mr. Nunes?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just sitting here thinking, at the last meeting, you talked about inviting the select, members of the select board and finance committee to one of our meetings.
Yes.
For a discussion and that type of deal. And I'm just thinking about it now the finance committee normally meets Thursday night, but that's fine. But the selectmen are kind of almost on our meeting schedule. In other words, we're meeting tonight, as is the selectmen. They'll be probably meeting the 23rd, which is our next. So we may need to figure out a different tactic and/or, move one meeting a week ahead or a week back in order to accommodate everybody.
Sure.
I'm just thinking of that now. So.
And I could be dreaming, but wasn't there something that got put out about a joint meeting?
An executive session.
That's right. Thank you.
One of the things that we did.
We'll be talking about, an executive session.
Right. But one of the other things that we talked about in response to what you're saying, Mr. Nunes, is the idea that maybe we could start earlier, but then again, that's about whether or not the committee every committee member is available.
Yeah.
Because remember and I think it was a great suggestion to have select board here when we present the actual district strategic plan, that we could do that earlier in the school committee agenda.
Yeah.
If you were all able to be present earlier. And I know that some of your work obligations might not allow that, but we could think about doing it that way.
Yeah, good point, Mr. Nunes. Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Kiley, as always. Next up, under new business, capital improvement planning update.
So again, a segue, this is a great segue, right? Because you can't separate capital improvement planning from budget. And so I know that Mr. Kiley does have some updates for us this evening. And again, I think that points to some of the positive conversation that you've had with members of the town.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Saban McGuire. It does. I definitely am encouraged, obviously. So the current capital improvement plan exists. You actually voted it as a committee back in January. The capital improvement plan cycle is typically that we create a plan. We created it earlier again than we ever have before. Usually that's voted, a little bit later. But we got that done. We did receive funding for several projects at the June town meeting, just to refresh everybody. It was technology infrastructure improvements, vehicles, flooring replacement, and fire system upgrade design at the June annual town meeting. So that was a positive step, considering the prior year we had received no funding for anything. So I had provided you with some information, and in the right hand column on the summary page, the first page, represents the projects that are up for consideration by the Capital Improvement Planning Committee for the October 15th Fall Town Meeting. So first, they need to go before the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. They will make recommendations, which will then be considered by the Finance Committee and then by town meeting. So the timeline is pretty tight. That's a month away. Just slightly more than a month away. So the things that we have on the list right now that are up for consideration are high school track reconstruction, $540,000, bathroom renovations, $150,000, interior and exterior painting, $75,000, energy efficiency projects, $120,000, music equipment, $65,000. Generator replacement, that's the Quinn School generator, $150,000, and stadium renovations, estimated to be $5 million. The other item that was on our list and was not funded was technology hardware replacement. It was on our list originally for $200,000. We've revised that to $300,000. As you probably remember that during the budget process, not last year but the year before, the $200,000 technology hardware replacement that we had received for at least 12 years had been removed from the Schedule A, and is a critical part of us maintaining current technology. So that was removed. This request is to reinstate that and make up for some of the lost funding, and hopefully lead to ultimately to a restoration of that funding of what is an annual need. There's no way around it. So I will be meeting with the Capital Improvement Planning Committee on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. advocating for all of these projects. I as Dr. Sabe McGuire mentioned, there's been positive conversations about this. So I do feel that our projects are going to be considered seriously in this process. So I'm happy about that for sure. And these are things that are certainly in need. The high school track is original, to the construction of this building. Probably a high school track at best should last 15 years. This one's well past that. And it's in pretty rough shape. We patch it, we cut sections out, and then replace them. But that's not a long-term fix. All of these things are things that are really just minimum requirements to kind of keep things going. My expectation is there won't be $5 million out there for stadium renovations. I don't think that's probably going to happen. But I hope that the rest of the items on this list will have strong consideration. So, be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley. Questions for my colleagues? Mr. Nunes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate this. I don't have anything on my calendar Thursday. I may join you.
It is a public meeting. You're welcome to. Plus, I can always use a friendly face. But yeah, so it'll be at Town Hall. I think in the Select Board room.
That's where
I
the
think
last one was, yeah.
somewhere on the third floor. Anyway,
Yeah, I'll find it. Thank you. But I was, kind of jumping ahead here, and just looking like, I remember we got the letter from the fire chiefs about the fire systems and that type of deal, and, notice that you've got it in 26 type of deal. There's money in 26 and I think 27 to get it going, along with a whole bunch of other things. And this is a very concise report and listing, and the explanations attached to it are fantastic. It, was helpful to me to see what it was for and what we need and such. So I thank you for that. The only other question I have, and I know that schools are somewhere down the line going to have to come to fruition. The decision is going to have to be made. And I noticed that you had Potter and DeMello, I think, with windows, just because of their age. Yeah, Potter and DeMello, that I would assume that's an iffy depending where we're headed.
That's right. Yeah,
So-
I think the overall direction of a new school in the district would obviously impact that. And if it were to be an elementary school, then yeah, obviously I don't think it would make sense
Yeah.
to do that. We do have a new school listed on here. I've been actively participating in the long-term capital planning process with the town, and that's going very well. Now, we are not actually advocating for any of the major projects yet, so we're not at that far in, but we have identified them, understand the cost, understand the capacity of the town to borrow. So it's exciting, and I think the intent is to inform the populace of what's going to be needed over the next 40 years, and this is how you might pay for it. So I think a lot more is coming, including we anticipate a presentation, at least a summary presentation, at the October 15th town meeting regarding the efforts that we've been making. So that's moving in a positive direction too.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? No, I guess I'll just add that while I certainly appreciate and I look forward to the long-term capital planning committee continuing to do its work, I've been saying we've got to do something about a new school for the past decade, and the prices aren't going to get cheaper; they're only going to get more expensive. This district, it just becomes very, very frustrating. I see what other neighboring communities are doing with their school systems, and I think the community owes it to all the kids, as well as their own students that probably went through here at one time or another. I just hope that this isn't just something that just continues to be prolonged. I appreciate the work of the long-term planning committee. It's just we need a new school. We needed it 20 years ago, and I'm just tired of beating this drum. So hopefully something can be done.
So, Mr. Oliver, we need new schools, right? So we don't just need a new school, we actually
Thank you
need-
for that correction.
We do
Dr.
need new
Saban
schools.
Mugaya.
And one of the things that you had suggested a bit ago is that we actually take, identify a group, including select board, finance committee, those folks, and bring them out to our schools. Maybe take a Saturday and do a tour of our buildings to actually show some of, again, the maintenance crew here, our custodians, I just want to say, they do a fabulous job. When I walk through schools the past couple of weeks, they are sparkling. They truly are, despite their age. And at the same time, there are some things that facilities and custodians that they're not able to really address in a way that brings us up into what you were saying, you were saying, Mr. Oliver, about other schools around us who really have some modern facilities that are really comfortable and create amazing learning spaces for kids. So we have wonderful staff out there who because it's not about the building itself, it's about what goes on in the building. We all recognize that, wonderful things happening here, and at the same time, look at the new configuration of the library and look at the way the space has been organized in a way that really is conducive to student engagement and collaboration. We had a group of adults sitting in the corner when we came in a nice little sort of cozy corner where you could envision how kids could be using this space, our students could be using this space in a way that really does encourage that kind of collaborative environment that our students are going to leave Dartmouth High School, and that is going to be sort of the world that they're going to live in. And so seeing this itself is just,
This is great.
and it truly is, and we just love the way the space is used creatively to actually allow more opportunities for students to engage. And this is just one small example of what can be done.
No, certainly agreed, and thank you for the correction on schools, plural. But at the end of the day, it's Dartmouth's infrastructure. It's no different than the Bourne and Sagamore bridges going over the Cape. They need to be replaced.
And they're just about as old as those bridges.
Well, they are just
Yeah.
about as old, and you can pay the piper now or pay them later, and it's going to be
That's it.
more money later. So I just hope, staying positive.
Yep.
Next up, superintendent's update.
Right, this is always my favorite part. So I was thinking that that I'd already shared with you how wonderful the beginning of the year was, but I realized when I thought back last time we met, we had just had convocation, which was wonderful. And now schools are open, and I have to say that even that feeling that I had that first day of convocation and the energy that the staff brought into that space that day is truly evident in our schools. They've returned with such great spirits and in turn have welcomed our students back to school, and with, I would say, a way to characterize it is with warmth and enthusiasm. I can't say, I say it all the time, but how impressed I am with school district leaders, teachers, everything that all have done to ensure the successful opening of the 2024-25 school year. It's really amazing to me to think that, that's the actual year that we're in when I think about inviting some of our new teachers, and certainly some veterans were here with us, but we see the long career that they'll have ahead of them. This past week, I had the opportunity, last week I had the opportunity to join Principal Shea and Associate Principal Xavier in a meeting with the Superintendent Advisory. This is a group, if you remember, that we started last year. A group of students that are randomly selected. So we have 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, 2 juniors, 2 seniors. And I want to say that I think that's a really important group to meet with. And I'm pleased to see how diverse the group is and how much they, even in that monthly meeting, have been able to support each other. And what I mean by that is we have a senior who was so welcoming to the 2 freshmen, and think about like what sort of intimidating experience it can be for a couple of freshmen to walk into a space with upper class people who are pretty, I would say, well known in the school. And that's the kind of climate and culture that we have here at Dartmouth High School. I'm also really pleased to say that despite some of our hiccups, our transportation has, our buses, our folks, Lauren Pusey, Jim Kiley, have done an outstanding job making sure that our students get to school and get home safely, because after all, that's what it's all about. The safety of our students is our primary purpose. We understand at the beginning of the year that there can be some hiccups and that we have to make some adjustments, and we expect to do that. And at the same time, we also want to recognize that our primary purpose is safety. Safety, getting students to school safely and getting them home safely. We have had some challenges at the middle school. Again, the beginning of the year. The middle school is probably on the busiest street, or one of the busiest, minus Route 6, in Dartmouth. And yes, there is quite a bit of traffic that can get backed up there. And again, just a reminder, last year, the police department, we did have our police officers who were at our schools and helped to do some of that crossing and that traffic work. That's no longer the case, and that's because they simply couldn't staff it. And at the same time, the police department is supporting us in front of our schools in monitoring traffic and taking action where they think it's needed. So we just want to remind people that it's still the beginning of the year, and that means there are still some students who may be getting rides that won't be soon, and so we're still working through some of that. It's September 9th, And so hopefully over the next few weeks, we'll see that there'll be some relief from some of the traffic congestion that's happening. But thank you to our families and school-based folks for patience and support, because when there is a challenge, we're working it through together. And that's what's important too, about recognizing that there are sometimes going to be challenges that we have to work through together. So just on to the teaching and learning piece. Normally we'd wait until probably after October 1st, because that's when we have to report our official enrollment to the state. But I thought I'd take some time just to update you as to where we are. And then after October 1st, give you a more formalized presentation. That would be something that we'll do through a PowerPoint, but I wanted to give you an idea as to where we are, with the recognition that we are actually still registering students for school. It's definitely slowing down. Again, Jen Machado's done an amazing job. But I think we are, at the elementary level, we made some changes. As you remember, we moved the Cushman kindergarten to the DeMello. That, again, we're so pleased to have our kindergartners at the DeMello, where they'll be spending really the next 6 years of their school life. And so we're so happy to have them there. And I've seen how, again, the staff at the DeMello has welcomed, as they call them, the littles to school. So happy to have them there. And if you also remember, we did move 3 classrooms out of the DeMello to make room for, not out of, but we eliminate, this goes back to budget and did have some impact. So that's why I think it's important for people to hear what was that impact. Let's see what that looks like. So at the kindergarten level across the district at the DeMello, our average class size is 18. At the Potter, it's 19, and at the Quinn, it's 16. So for a district average of 17 students at the kindergarten level. At the grade 1 level, at the DeMello, we have 17 students. At the Potter, 21. At the Quinn, 21. And that gives us an average of 20 students in our grade 1s across the school district. For grade 2 at the DeMello, we have 20 students. At the Potter, 20. At the Quinn, 21, and that is a district average of 21. Grade 3, we have 23 students in grade 3 at the DeMello, 23 at the Potter, 22 at the Quinn, for a district average of 23 students in grade 3. In grade 4, we have 22 students at the DeMello, 25 at the Potter, and 19 at the Quinn, for a district average of 21. In grade 5, we have 24 students at the DeMello, 22 at the Potter, 24 at the Quinn, and that gives us a district average of 24. So at the middle school, we currently have 801 students, and at the high school, we currently have 900 students. And again, when we do our more formal presentation, we'll talk to you more about what that looks like and break down the middle school and the high school and give some ideas about what class size look like. But I just want to remind people that there are times where you're going to see higher class sizes in some grade levels due to the birth rate that year. There are also going to be times where one school may have a few more students than another, again, based on where students are moving. But at the same time, the district is paying attention to making sure that there is some parity across the district in terms of what class size looks like. And I think from what you heard, and again, I'll give you this more formally so that you have it at your fingertips, but that we do have average class sizes that are reasonable, and that across especially at the 3 elementary schools, you can see that there's some equity in terms of the enrollment of those schools. So that is under HR or personnel. I mentioned this at our last school committee meeting. District-wide, we're still in the process of recruiting for a behavior specialist, a BCBA. That's an important position for us in the district. You approved that for us last year, and although we haven't filled the position yet, we are already seeing quite early on the need for that position and the service that it will provide to our school district, our teachers, our students, our families. We're looking for a .5 PE/health teacher. And then again, at the district level, under non-instructional, we're still looking for somebody for our maintenance department, but we're working on it. I'm happy to report that at the high school, we have identified a world language teacher. We haven't onboarded them yet, so I don't want to jinx us, but I think we have a really wonderful person who we'll invite here to meet you, since we weren't able to introduce her quite yet. So we think that we're close again we are onboarding that person this week. We still need an EL teacher, ELL, English language teacher, for our high school and our middle school. That's a shared position between those two buildings, and 3 ESPs. We're still hopeful, but we're close to filling both our custodial positions. We filled one, and we have one in, hopefully, again, that we'll be onboarding soon. At the middle school, I mentioned the EL teacher. We still need an ESP, and we need somebody in food services. At the Quinn, we're in pretty good shape at the Quinn. We're looking for an ESP, and we're also looking for a full-time custodian. And then the DeMello, again, in pretty good shape. We're fully staffed for our certified staff, and we're still looking for a part-time custodian and food services. So Cushman, we're in really great shape. So we're fully staffed at the Cushman School. We're always looking for monitors, though. So when I say fully staffed, please know that that is something, that particular position is one that we value, and we're constantly looking for folks to fill that role. So Potter, fully staffed. I mentioned a couple of things that they're looking for, but overall, and you could see from Dr. Tebow and Mrs. Paveo's presentation that we have pretty good retention. And that, I think, shows itself when you start talking about positions and who you're still looking for. I always have to say it, monitors, substitute teachers, ESPs, food service workers, always needed in the district. So you'll constantly see that those positions are advertised, and we just want to encourage people that think they may have an interest in one of those positions to apply. As far as climate and culture, I'm kind of going to switch gears here a little bit, because, I want to acknowledge that there was a terrible tragedy that took place in Georgia. Undoubtedly devastating to hear of the educators and students there who needlessly lost lives, and it's just an unimaginable act of an individual. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of this school community that was impacted by this. And at the same time, what I'd like to do is reassure folks that in the Dartmouth Public Schools, we pay a lot of attention to safety and security. We are partnered very closely with Dartmouth Fire, with Dartmouth Police, and we do work closely together with all of our school-based teams to ensure the safety of our school community. Already, if you, and I read all the daily notices that our school leaders are sending out to their staff, there already you can see established routines. What are the precautions there are precautions firmly in place across the school district, and our staff and students are well versed in safety procedures. I brought this the booklet, I should say, which is a comprehensive emergency plan. Now, a book itself or a packet doesn't have a lot of impact, but what I can tell you is that this is something that I know leadership out in our schools is sharing with our faculty, and they're spending time going over this, and it's been recently updated, and it'll be something that we continue to remind people of. But at the same time, again, recognizing that there was a terrible tragedy that took place in our country just last week, very obviously devastating for the community. But here in Dartmouth, and at the same time, I should say, in Dartmouth, we do pay a lot of attention to safety and security measures, and it is always our primary purpose to ensure the safety of our staff and our students. And we'll be doing, as a matter of fact, we'll be meeting with our safety leaders within the next week or two to talk about and update each other on some of the processes that we have in place. So I think, though, switching gears back to, it's been a positive, honestly, a positive start to the school year. I'm so excited to see. You see, we had our seniors here tonight, a few of our seniors, so you know that they're going to be out there doing just amazing things that we'll be able to share with you here at school committee. I read Mr. Christofuli's morning Monday Minute this morning. Our sports teams are off to a great start. I'm looking forward to getting out there and seeing them. I know that Mrs. Amaral's daughter, May, scored her first goal, her first lacrosse goal as a field hockey. So, did I say lacrosse? I'm sorry. I knew it was field hockey. I confused them, though, to be fair.
They're very different.
They are different, but I still get confused. But I'm so excited to be out there and see her playing. And Mrs. Amaral, I know you were so proud of her and how excited she was to be able to have that sort of moment as a freshman. So looking forward to seeing what the sports season does. Mr. Nunes, I am not going to say anything about the band. I'm leaving it to you.
That's fine. No problem.
I'm super excited to see what I have, and I'm looking forward. I did commit with Mr. Shea that we are going to be working one of the games, the Patriots games, in the concession stand. And the Patriots looked pretty good yesterday,
Yeah.
So let's hope that that's going to be a positive
continues.
experience. So that's all I have for you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Saban McGuire. I thoroughly enjoy your
so good. Thank
your
you.
superintendent updates. That's all encompassing. I would like to take just a quick opportunity in a moment to, since I wasn't able to attend the convocation, I do want to recognize all the summer staff, the Dartmouth Public Schools maintenance department, the administration, the administrative assistants, all of those folks that take the time and work extremely hard over the summer to turn these buildings around. So I think it's important that I would just like to recognize them for all their dedication and their hard work, and I'd also like to wish our educational staff, our teaching staff, a wonderful year. We hope it goes well, and we're very grateful and appreciative for all you do for the Dartmouth Public Schools. So thank you ever so much. That's really all I have. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Nunes for the band update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, the band is doing quite well in all seriousness. We've got our first home football game Friday night against Braintree. The band will be performing part of their field show. Their competition season starts the 21st of September. I think we're in Blackstone type of deal. We have our home show right now tentatively scheduled for October 19th. Our U.S. band's home show here, October 19th. Again, at the moment scheduled to start at 3 o'clock. At the moment, again, we've got 12 bands signed up, so it'll be I don't have any times. That won't get posted until the first week of October, so I'll have that for our October 7th meeting type of deal. But they're good to go. I know I was watching the volleyball game before I stuck my head into the volleyball game, and we were ahead 1-0 and ahead 22-6 or something in the second game. So sounds like they had a good night, which is good, and the rest of our teams are doing great. So really thrilled for that, which is what it's all about.
Agreed. Thank you for that update. Anyone else have anything to share out?
I don't.
All right. The next regular scheduled meeting of the Dartmouth School Committee is currently scheduled for Monday, September 23rd, 2024, right here in the Dartmouth High School Media Center. At this time, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of an update on pending legal matters and not to reconvene into open session. Second by Ms. Beckwith. I'll give it to Ms. Beckwith. On the motion, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Chris Oliver,
Yes.
Ms. Coughlin.
Yes.
Mary Beckwith.
Yes.
Kathleen Emerald.
Yes.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned, everyone. Good night.